Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince YT. The warm glow of the evening light reflected off the glass as Suho stepped inside. He sank into the couch with a weary sigh, the exhaustion in his limbs a heavy contrast to the adrenaline that had carried him through the day. His breath slowed, but the tension didn't fade. "You seem tired, young master," a voice said beside him. "Of course I am," he replied without hesitation, his eyes half closed. Suho continued, "My uncle just gave me a huge lecture." Suho's lips curled into a faint smile. "Mom and Dad are also that worried for me, right?" But before sentiment could settle, he stood up suddenly. "Let's go to the shadow dungeon." His companion blinked in disbelief. "I think you should rest a little." "Rest can wait," Suho said, already moving. "I came back in a daze and couldn't complete the daily quest. I can't miss out on my daily rewards." Watching him go, Baru muttered to himself, "Maybe he's too addicted to becoming stronger." Within moments, the world changed. What greeted Suho wasn't the familiar training ground. A twisted, broken city stretched before him, steeped in a haunting purple fog. He froze, eyes wide in alarm. "What?" An alert materialized before him like a curse. "You have defeated all the intermediate soldiers that lived in the shadow dungeon. The daily quests have come to an end." "The daily quest is gone?" he exclaimed, stunned. He moved forward, only to stumble upon ruins and the remnants of a chaotic battle. Amit stood amidst the wreckage, uncertain. "What on earth happened here?" Suho whispered. Came the only answer, uncertain and ominous. Amit had gone on a rampage, slaughtering every goblin in the shadow dungeon overnight. His crimson eyes glowed with unrestrained savagery as his bladed limbs slashed through the dim corridors, leaving nothing behind but shattered corpses and ash. Amit, arms crossed and brow furrowed, surveyed the aftermath with measured calm. "I should have cautioned him to only target the ones interfering with the guest's training, but he killed them all in one night." His tone was gruff, not regretful, just practical. "Yet for his promotion, I'll call no mercy." The chaos prompted Suho's stunned reaction. "You killed that whole wave of goblins?" The question hung in the air, disbelief tinting his voice. "My growth just skyrocketed with the daily quests." Amit turned slightly, his interest piqued. "If becoming stronger is what you want, I can train you." Suho blinked, surprised. "You can do that?" he asked. "I accept guests who seek strength because I know how to train them." Amit's voice was firm, every word resonating with certainty. "I'll teach you how to grow stronger." Suddenly, a system alert bloomed before Suho's eyes. "Quest. Daily quest. Preparation to become strong has arrived. Will you accept?" "Another daily quest." Suho murmured to himself, eyes narrowing. Then with a sigh of resolve, "Well, I have to accept this." Suho nodded. "All right, I'll be counting on you then." As the interface pulsed and a shimmering light danced around him, Suho looked up at the new quest log. "Let's see. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10 kilometers run." He frowned. "This is the way to become stronger?" Beside him, Amit scoffed. "Just that alone might be enough." Amit smirked darkly. "You'll have to carry weight on your back while you do all of them." The interface displayed the full quest, etched with glowing runes. Quest. Daily quest. Preparation to become strong. Goal. Push-ups, 0/100. Sit-ups, 0/100. Squats, 0/100. Running, 0/10 km. You must carry weight at your back as you do the tasks. The challenge was set. The path forward would be agony, but so would the growth it promised. "You want me to carry you while I do the daily quest?" Suho stares at the massive beast before him, a mix of shock and annoyance in his voice. The towering creature kneels, its gaze unwavering. "My current size through years of experience," it explains. "It's a tough state we beasts have seen repeatedly and remembered by falling into hard times. This place might help me regain it." The air vibrates with tension as the beast's body begins to compress, bones cracking and muscles twisting as its size shrinks dramatically. The rumble fades. The hulking monster now stands at human scale, towering just slightly over Suho. He stares up at it, blinking in disbelief. "This should be fine now," Amit says. "Amit became smaller?" Suho mutters. "Let's start your training for your number." Amit says. Suho closes his eyes for a moment, breath steady. All right, let's do this. Amit. Suddenly, a system alert flares into view. Alert. Due to the huge difference between the player's level and ability and that of Amit, he is no longer fit for the bond skill. Please reassign increased troop level and unlock the rider skill. Required level, 60. Suho stares at the message. A teammate that can't get carried, he smirks. That's not too bad actually. With a sudden whoosh, Amit jumps on his back. Oof, the training has begun. Young monarch. Essel calls out in disbelief. But Suho was already on the ground, panting. I'm supposed to do 100 push-ups like that? I feel like my arms are about to break already. Amit loomed over Suho, its voice slow and burdened by time. I know that it is difficult for you to bear all of this, it said, lifting a heavy claw to its battered face. Breaking down is also a part of becoming stronger. It coughed, its breath shallow, the toll of ages pressing on its frame. The sky shifted to a darker hue above Seoul's outskirts, near the Payu field-type dungeon. A dark energy pulsed as though the very world was holding its breath. A surge of power erupted from a chamber deep within the dungeon. A monstrous figure engulfed in burning blue flames let out a deafening roar. Before it stood a man, calm and composed. He gazed into the containment chamber, his voice steady. "You've finally appeared." Standing in the quiet, Lee Min-sung clenched his jaw, brows furrowed in frustration. "How long must I do this until?" he muttered. A voice whispered from the shadows. "Human, you continue to prove that you deserve to be a part of this." From the darkness emerged a cloaked demon with burning red eyes, its mouth curled in a twisted smile. "The Chosen One has saved us from our filthy lives, hasn't he?" A title appeared, Demon Mormu, Stardust Factory Overseer. "A filthy life?" Lee Min-sung's voice echoed, but the words had barely left his lips when he struck Mormu, slashing at him with blinding speed. The sudden strike rang out with a flash of steel against shadow. Lee Min-sung recoiled slightly, unfazed. "A mere monster like you dares to answer me like you are a deathless god." The demon hissed, stepping closer, red eyes glinting with disdain. The demon stepped forward, crimson eyes burning like coals beneath the hood. "Where's the kid?" Lee Min-sung's voice rasped. Without flinching, the demon answered coldly. "The apostle is busy." Lee Min-sung's voice echoed. "Lim Tae-gyu will soon come back to Korea. Ask him to keep his promise." The demon studied him in silence, its clawed hand slowly extending, presenting a golden item that pulsed with mysterious energy. "Seems you must be receiving this as well. Why do you not use it?" The scene shifted violently. A bleak, hellish landscape sprawled before the eyes. Legions of monstrous beings, shrouded in chaos and flame, stood beneath a red-blackened sky. "The Chosen One," the voice echoed again. "He gave up his future for this moment, and now the time of trial shall begin." Towering structures twisted by magic loomed in the distance. There is no room for doubt. Prove yourself, wake up, or disappear within the demon plane. The voice thundered like prophecy. That's why we could gather the 12 like this, back in the darkened street. The cursed item glowed in the demon's hand as its energy flickered like firelight. "If you follow me, you'll be able to grow stronger. Know who you truly are," the figure insisted. "You'll be able to break free from things you still hold." But Lee Min-sung narrowed his eyes, and he threw the cigarette violently to the ground, the echo of its crash reverberating in the silence. "You know jack shit about me," he said darkly. "Stop acting like a know-it-all." The demon flinched. "Stop giving me that cult talk," Lee Min-sung continued. "I won't use that shit." A deep chuckle rumbled from the darkness. You're so foolish. That's why you'll always remain a loser." Moments later, the skies above Korea remained storm-laden as he walked across a deserted plaza. The building in front of him flickered with cold blue lights. He stood still, wind tugging at his coat. "I just need to endure all this until that kid kills Lim Tae-gyu," he muttered under his breath. "After that, I'll report all of this to the Hunter Association and the shadows will take care of them." His voice, calm but steeled with conviction, vanished into the wind, but in his eyes, the fire of defiance burned brighter than ever. Lee Min-sung's voice rang with smug confidence, his fingers forming a peace sign as he declared his transformation aloud. He was turning everything back to how it was supposed to be. His smirk was sharp, crisp with arrogance, as he claimed he was returning to his past brilliant self. High above the street, a figure lingered on steel scaffolding, surveying the city below. She is Hunter Miho from the Hunter Association. Her figure stood motionless against the night sky, illuminated only by the dim glimmer of streetlights and the faint roar of passing cars. Hunter Miho stood with urgency, reporting her findings into her calm association chairman. She said firmly, Lee Min-sung just came out of Payu's field-type dungeon. Her voice was clipped, purposeful. In the headquarters, Chairman Woo's eyes narrowed at the news. Her voice continued, I'm guessing that place is where stardust is made. The connection was becoming clearer by the second. Chairman Woo answered calmly. All right, keep following him, Hunter Miho. Another official chimed in with concern. It seems we're getting close to knowing what Lee Min-sung is up to. Chairman Woo. He continued reflecting on the past incident. During the airport dungeon break, all the association staff who had nearby gates mentioned that they all lost their numbers at the same time. His voice grew colder. They're all entities that consumed stardust. More papers slid across the desk. We've already discovered hunters acting strangely in various places. What they all have in common is that they consumed stardust. His eyes were sharp now, focused. Since questionable circumstances have surfaced, the Hunter Association is intending to ban the usage of stardust, Chairman Woo added grimly. Then Hunter Choi asked the inevitable question, what do you intend to do with Lee Min-sung? Chairman Woo's expression darkened, his voice low and resolute. We need to get him, as well as whoever's behind him. Hunter Choi stepped forward. His glasses caught the cold light as he replied with fire in his tone, my hunters will help you as well. In a quiet office, Chairman Woo leans back in his chair, the screen before him casting a cold glow across his thoughtful face. He gazes at a photograph on his desk, a shadow of old memories. The news reaches him softly. Suho has returned safely. A breath leaves him, laced with relief and reflection. If Suho truly is a growth-type hunter like his father, then his future promises terrifying heights and daunting burdens. The man knows better than most. Such a path comes with trials sharp enough to break even the strongest will. Yet despite that knowledge, he makes a quiet vow to himself. Whatever it takes, he thinks, his gaze lingering on the framed photo of Jin-Woo and frozen in a rare moment of peace. Hunter-sung, I'll do whatever I can to help Suho. Elsewhere, Suho grits his teeth, his body trembling with exertion, drenched in sweat and effort. 99. 100. His hand slams into the dirt, clawing for strength. The ground cracks beneath him from the force. He forces himself up, again and again. Amit's voice echoed. 100 push-ups. He already finished them today. Essel stares in disbelief. Young Monarch's arm is broken, but there's no time for sympathy. A shadow-black silhouette erupts with a screech, its eyes glowing wild with pressure. Wounded but resolute, Suho reaches out toward a shimmering screen, stained with blood. Baru barks, stupid crocodile. Bastard. What are you doing? It's still the tutorial. Suho ignores the noise, his fingers brushing the glowing letters. Status window. A soft beep. The purchase goes through. The companions freeze, eyes wide. Their panic is replaced by confusion as the shop interface flickers, and Suho staggers back. Time slows. Around him, ruins stretch into darkness. In his hand, a healing potion glows faintly. He stares at it, breathing heavy. This is great, he murmurs. His thoughts turn forward. I actually wanted to become stronger before I fought Lee Min-sung. I just have 3 tasks left, right? A glint of focus sparks in his eyes as he looks toward the next challenge, body surrounded in radiant green light. Let's continue with the preparation to become strong. The countdown continued, slow and haunting. 21. The number slipped from the lips of the Suho as Essel cupped her trembling hands over her mouth, holding her breath as tension choked the air. 22. Her eyes widened in horror as the next scene unfolded before her. Amit is set on Suho's chest with clam and resolve. Suho limbs flailed desperately, bones crashing beneath the weight of Amit. Nearby, empty bottles of potions lay on the ground. Through the chaos, eyes burning with fury as he carried Amit on his back. 47, he growled, panting, staggering forward. 48. On the ground, empty bottles of potions lay on the ground, their glass glinting under the dark sky. As his eyes darted over the devastation, a cry tore from his throat. Whoa! In the next scene, Suho was running carrying Amit on his shoulder. The ground trembled under the pressure of his feet. As Amit sat on Suho's shoulder, thoughts raced through his mind. Although the young monarch still lacked the refined skill to fully master the system, he was enduring it, and that was more than expected. Against all odds, he was pushing forward. Amit continued. The young monarch never stopped. No matter how broken, no matter how cornered, he always searched for a way forward. He might surpass even Taranak, or the other monarchs who once stood untouchable. A shadowed building loomed ahead. Somewhere behind its walls, hope and danger intertwined. Suho groaned, clutching his back in pain. My back. Purchase potion, the voice command activated. After some time, Gray tired, half shrouded in the dust silently laid down on the ground. Suho, sweat glistening on his face, breath shallow. His pulse pounded like war drums in his ears. And then, a flash of golden light appeared before his vision. Alert! The quest rewards have arrived. Would you like to check your rewards? Yes/no. The dust began to settle as silence returned to the cracked and blood-stained earth. Amit stood towering and still, his presence as imposing as ever. Beside him, Essel turned her gaze to Suho, her voice gentle but resolute. Young monarch, Amit said with a calm voice. That marks the end of today's training. Yet in his hand, the reward window shimmered like a distant star of hope. While the agony of the training still echoed through every inch of his body, he couldn't deny the results. Despite the torment he'd endured, and endured well. With both the quest reward and the merciless ordeal now behind him, he'd achieved progress, small but meaningful. His strength stat ticked upward, from 77 to 78. But more importantly, his endurance skill had leveled to 3, boosting his physical defense from plus 40% to plus 60%. That small leap meant survival. That edge could mean the difference between life and death. His thoughts stirred, conflicted but determined. This method wasn't the most efficient, but it worked. If he could manage the daily quests while minimizing the backlash, he'd grow stronger faster. Bit by bit, clenching his fist, Suho lifted his head and looked at Amit. I'll be counting on you tomorrow as well. Amit's reply rumbled like gravel, steady and proud. All right, young monarch. The words echoed in the void. Later that night, within the quiet warmth of his room, the flicker of blue light hovered gently. The shadow spirit returned, glancing at Suho's motionless figure beneath the blanket. His breathing was soft, peaceful. He had collapsed into sleep the very moment he returned home. The little spirit whispered with pride, voice hushed as though not to disturb him. Young monarch, you did great today. Moments passed in stillness. Then, as if granting itself a well-earned break, the spirit drifted toward the TV, arms stretching lazily. Now that I finally have some personal time, I'll watch some TV. Its excitement was short-lived. The screen flashed urgently, and the words that followed cut through the air like static through silence. News report. The Hunter Association has announced the creation of a new regulation concerning field-type dungeons. The spirit froze, gaze fixed. The news continued, the tone grim and precise. This is in response to the recent dungeon break at the airport. Field-type dungeons, unlike gate-sealed ones, allowed for full material retrieval, mana crystals, essence stones, and more. They were a gold mine, and private guilds had thrived from that access. But no more. The broadcast declared sweeping changes. Possession rights of these high-value dungeons would now come under scrutiny, especially the Grim Reaper Guild, now placed under direct pressure following the catastrophe. After that, in the Grim Reaper Guild, a man in a black suit lowered his paper. His expression sharpened, shadows falling across his brow. He read the papers in silence. What is this? His voice was calm, but beneath it, a ripple of concern stirred. The room was steeped in sterile tension as black-suited agents stepped forward, their tone as cold as their expressions. Hunter Lee Min-sung, one began firmly. The Grim Reaper Guild possesses too many field-type dungeons. Their words struck like veiled accusations. We can't let field-type dungeons that could cause heavy damage to the world remain unregulated. The upper management has ordered the B-rank field-type dungeon, Payu Field, to be cleared. The statement wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. Minsung's brows tightened. The name alone, Payu Field, stirred something deep within. The agent continued, "You've not participated in any hunter work for over 6 months. If you wish to maintain your license, you'll need to join the raid." Minsung's gaze fell, his thoughts unreadable. A quiet pause. He understood exactly what this was. This is Chairman Wu Jinchul taking a shot at me. He clenched his fists, the memory of the chairman's piercing stare flashing through his mind like a brand. And of all places, Payu Field, the biggest factory under the guild's control. Frustration simmered beneath his composed facade. But no emotion showed, only resolve. I must reject that proposition, even if it means making the Hunter Association my enemy. But he didn't mean it. In a distant office under brighter lights, Guildmaster Lim Taegu sat, poised in a pale suit. His voice was clear and cool. "I understand," he said aloud, setting down the report. "We will comply with the association's request." A nearby agent bowed respectfully. "Thank you for agreeing to it, Guildmaster." Lim Taegu nodded, the light glinting off his sharp gaze. A thin smile tugged at the corner of his lips as he held the paper between his fingers. "Hunter Lim Taegu, S-rank hunter. Grim Reaper Guildmaster." From across the room, Minsung's pupils flared. Lim Taegu. The name echoed like a curse. No wonder he returned so quickly from the overseas mission. He came back just to block me. His jaw tensed. The agents spoke again, voices impersonal and efficient. "The Hunter Association will dispatch a team of hunters to go on the Payu Field raid. Please form a party with them." Their words were absolute. The trap was set. The raid was on. Silence hung heavy between them. The polished surface of the conference table reflected their frustration. Two men bound by duty, yet divided by secrets. "Lim Taegu, what are you thinking?" Minsung's hands trembled against his forehead. "Do you even understand how expensive a field-type dungeon is to maintain?" But Taegu's eyes didn't waver. "Do you really think the association just wants to get rid of a dungeon?" "They know," he said, voice low. "They figured out what you've been doing in secret." His words struck Minsung like a slap across the face. "I told you not to underestimate them." The accusation ran deeper than words. It was betrayal wrapped in disappointment. "You ignored my warnings, and while I was away, you used the guild members however you pleased." Then, Lim Taegu's presence turned cold. His aura rippled with invisible pressure, laced with raw intent. His voice darkened. "Minsung, do you still think I'm that errand boy who cleaned up your mess?" The fury behind his eyes shimmered violet. Power pulsed beneath his skin, his aura unraveling like a coiled storm. Minsung shrank in his chair, unable to respond, his lips curling into a nervous grimace. Lim Taegu, however, had already turned his attention elsewhere. He pulled a phone from his coat pocket and studied the screen. His brows lifted slightly at the message. "A recruiter contacted me," he said. "They mentioned a new S-rank hunter, right here in Korea." He placed the phone down with purpose. "I'll be visiting the Hunter Association. Get the contract wages ready." He stood up with quiet finality, but before he stepped away, his voice softened, not with sympathy, but with expectation. "Minsung, you might still have time to turn this around. Do your best to clean up the mess." As his footsteps echoed out of the room, Minsung remained slouched in his chair, alone, drowning in the aftershock of humiliation. But deep behind his eyes, red light flickered like burning embers. Another S-rank, his clenched jaw trembled with resentment. All these bastards who get lucky and become S-rank. Always trying to act like kings, his fury darkened, not only toward the association, but toward the power he could never fully grasp. Shadows slithered across the skyscraper glass as one lone figure stood bathed in twilight. His pale hair shimmered beneath the dim glow of city light, one hand clutching the book, the other tense at his side. The voice inside Minsung's mind sneered with impatience. "When is that darn alien child going to grow up?" The bitterness sharpened. "When is that fragment thing coming again?" Then, a pulse, low, menacing, and filled with venom. "Kill Lim Taegu quickly for me." A single crimson eye flared within the darkness, swirling like a vortex of malice. The thought rang out with a disturbing urgency. He must be killed in order for me to. A new message appeared on his phone. Lim Taegyu's eyes fluttered open. He sat quietly in his seat, head bowed, deep in thought. The orders were loud, impossible to ignore, yet he remained still, calm, focused. No words came from his mouth, but his eyes said everything. A twisted grin broke out, fueled by fury and obsession. Minsung's face warped into a monstrous grin, veins crawling with crimson light. That obnoxious expression he has. His hand gripped his phone tighter, showing a live feed of the young white-haired figure. He must be doing something interesting. The location shifted. Outside the Hunter Association headquarters, a crowd was forming, murmuring in anticipation as footsteps echoed up the sleek marble halls. At the center of attention stood the apostle, calm, poised, with a presence far beyond his years. That person, he's the new S-rank hunter of Korea. Excitement rippled through the crowd like waves crashing against stone. And then the name began to rise, unspoken yet close. His name is. The boy turned, light catching in his golden eyes, hair swept slightly by the wind. He was the calm before the storm. The hallway brimmed with anticipation as a hunter stepped forward beneath the slanted light. He spoke with formality sharpened by ceremony. Congratulations on becoming Korea's new S-rank hunter. Hunter Park Do-jin. Whispers sparked through the room. Eyes turned as the name echoed. And then, a familiar figure stepped forth. Choi Jong-in. The crowd stirred at once. Choi Jong-in. That's Hunter Choi Jong-in of the Hunters. Hunter Choi Jong-in remained calm, his expression unreadable as he approached with a curious gaze. Have we met before? Jong-in asked, tilting his head. I feel like I've seen you somewhere. Do-jin's reply was swift, unwavering. We've never met before, but I know who you are. Jong-in offered a polite smile, though a flicker of uncertainty passed through his eyes. My apologies for the confusion. He didn't linger on it. Regardless, would you consider joining the Hunters Guild? Do-jin nodded respectfully. Thank you for your proposition. But he didn't hesitate. I already have a guild I want to sign with, so I won't be able to join. As Jong-in acknowledged the response with a quiet sigh, the air behind them shifted. Footsteps rushed toward the lobby. Did I make it on time? All eyes turned to the newcomer who burst in, breathless yet brimming with intent. Lim Taegyu, surprised, turned to the side. Park Do-jin didn't flinch. Instead, his gaze locked onto the new arrival, arm extended, pointing directly at him. A silent, heavy pause filled the room. 1 week later, dark clouds crawled over the industrial sprawl of Paiyu Field. Steel structures gleamed under the morning fog, hiding the chaos that once raged inside. And there, standing with purpose, a new figure stepped into view, armored in crimson and gold, her blade resting against her shoulder like a promise. I'm here to join the Paiyu Field Raid, she announced, as requested by the Hunter Association. Her voice cut through the air with confidence. I'm Baek Miho of the White Tiger Guild. Baek Miho, A-rank hunter. The raid was about to begin. I'm Lee Min-sung. Thank you for coming. His tone was warm, his expression courteous, the perfect facade. Looks like the field dungeon is making you do extra work. Baek Miho's golden eyes narrowed slightly, her tone polite, but her mind sharp. Not at all. It's natural that help is provided. Behind her calm exterior, however, a very different thought brewed. Wow, I guess he was an actor for a good reason. He's completely rotten on the inside, yet he acts so kind on the outside. Her gaze flicked to the team gathered behind him, her inner voice growing colder. Everything that happens within Paiyu Field will be exposed today anyway. I'll peel off that mask of yours with my own hands. But she also understood. One element she hadn't accounted for might change everything. An unexpected variable would be. Her eyes shifted again, this time to the silver-haired boy standing silently. The new S-rank that joined the Grim Reaper Guild, Park Do-jin, who is participating in this raid. From the side, his golden eyes scanned the field alongside Min-sung's, quiet but observant. Miho's smirk returned as she stood amidst the other hunters. Well, if I feel like something's off, I do have that. The command rang out sharply. All right, excavation team. Each of you, take a pickaxe. Steel met steel as tools clashed and boots thundered across frostbitten soil. The storm was about to begin. A familiar figure appeared in the raid team with calm and resolve. The Payu Field raid begins. A few days ago, in the quiet of an office bathed in cold light, two powerful figures sat across from one another. Lee Min-sung, poised in his white suit, leaned back with a faint smile curling at the corner of his lips. "To think you've grown so much in the short time we didn't meet?" His words held a hint of amusement, maybe even suspicion. Min-sung chuckled, sipping from a cup as he observed the youthful frame before him. "I guess aliens grow pretty quickly." But Park Do-jin's answer came without hesitation, calculated and unbothered. "I chose a small and young body that'd be more advantageous for survival at an earlier stage. There's no need to consider appearance anymore, not since I've gathered more fragments and regained my strength." Min-sung narrowed his eyes. "What's with the name Park Do-jin? And you became a hunter? What are you up to?" The boy raised his cup calmly. "It's a name I gave myself so that I can move about publicly. Becoming a hunter allows me to act freely beyond the shadows." Min-sung exhaled and shifted in his seat. "Because of the airport incident, the association's been closing in on me, claiming I caused civilian damage." He leaned forward now, voice lower, more tense. "If Payu Field's factory gets exposed, it'll be over for both of us." But Park Do-jin met the concern with calm certainty. "Don't worry, Lee Min-sung." He raised his teacup with steady confidence. "I joined the Grim Reaper Guild to prevent that from happening." His golden eyes glinted with something deeper, a vision beyond the moment. "I'll turn all the hunters in the raid party into believers. When that happens, they won't find anything there." Min-sung raised a brow, intrigued. "A strong move right from the start, huh?" He leaned in. "But do you really think you can defeat Lim Taegu? An S-rank hunter, right now?" The room darkened, memories flickering. Park Do-jin stood silent for a moment before responding, his voice low and unwavering. "Are you referring to my promise to kill him?" "I'm certain now after meeting him." His gaze sharpened. "If I fight with a S-rank hunter now," his sentence trailed, but the intent behind it was clear as day. A twisted grin curled on Min-sung's lips, a smirk born of cruelty and indifference. The shadows licked his jaw as he exhaled, his tone as calm as it was venomous. "I don't care if both of you die. Just keep your promise." And with that venom, the curtain lifted. The light outside was dull behind the gray, angular windows. The sky cast reflections across the glass, mirroring the cold tension inside the room. Chairman Wu sat at his desk, arms crossed in silent anticipation, his eyes fixed on a monitor before him. The Payu Field raid should be starting soon. His fingers tapped in rhythm with his thoughts. The gears behind his composed expression turned relentlessly. And then, a name surfaced in his mind, one that held the weight of growing suspicion. Lee Min-sung and Stardust. His brows furrowed slightly. The name brought more than just apprehension. It demanded action. "We need to obtain solid evidence in this raid." The weight of that responsibility pressed down, but a measure of reassurance lingered. The White Tiger Guild had stepped in. A-rank hunter Baek Miho was among the participants. That alone offered a sense of tactical insurance. Her fiery prowess could counter the unexpected if such a need arose. In flames she stood, her power flaring behind her calm demeanor, eyes sharpened by battle-tested instinct. And behind her, even greater strength loomed in shadow. Choi Jong-in, another S-rank, waiting in silence, prepared to act the moment things strayed off course. Yet despite these safeguards, the unease lingered. Park Do-jin, that name, like a splinter beneath the skin, refused to be ignored. A new S-rank, appearing from nowhere. Too sudden, too convenient. The fact that he joined the Grim Reaper Guild, right as we're starting the Payu Field raid, his thoughts spiraled deeper. "I can't help but think the situation is going in Lee Min-sung's favor." His jaw tightened, the pieces connecting too cleanly. "And there's one more thing bothering me." Files scattered across his desk. One image stood out. Suho, assigned to the excavation team. A name that had begun to carry weight of its own. Suho is joining as part of the excavation crew. He narrowed his eyes at the photograph, trying to read something beyond the static pixels. "I wonder if it's a coincidence or fate." He'd approved it. Let it pass, believing it would be harmless. But now he wasn't so sure. "But I don't know if that's the right decision." Meanwhile, deep within the inferno of the raid zone, flames twisted violently. a writhing beast of heat and pressure that consumed everything in its wake. Amid the chaos, a desperate cry rang out, gritted teeth, sweat dripping from scorched armor. "Strike team, I can't last for long." He braced himself against the heat, roaring as the fire closed in, swallowing the battlefield whole. A blast of flames tore through the battlefield, washing the air in sweltering heat and golden light. The red-armored hunter, defiant and resolute, leapt forward with a clenched fist, striking the enormous fire beast's rocky hide with relentless force. The impact resounded like thunder, and the burning colossus staggered as molten debris crumbled from its shoulders. For a moment, the beast faltered, and in that instant, it saw her eyes. Burning with a warrior's focus and wild instinct, her gaze pierced through the inferno like a blade. She pivoted sharply, her cape trailing behind her in a graceful arc as she lunged again, this time faster, more precise. Her entire frame glowed with energy as she drove her elbow down into the creature's skull, knocking its head violently to the side. The ground beneath them split with a concussive shockwave. The flaming titan reeled, snapping its jaws and swinging wide with a clawed arm, but the red warrior twisted away midair, her form blurring as she ducked beneath the swiping attack. With speed like a shadow, she spiraled high above her enemy, then shot downward like a falling comet. The blow struck true, an echo of devastation shaking the cavern. Her foot sank deep into the beast's back, grinding into its scales with the weight of her momentum. But before the dust could even settle, she burst forth again. A blur of movement, a red blur soaring with deadly purpose. She landed another strike, then another. Her momentum didn't slow. If anything, it became more vicious, more unrelenting. The beast stumbled back again, crimson ichor dripping from its cracked armor. The tremor of impact sent shockwaves through the battlefield as the massive red beast slammed into the ground, flinging shards of stone and soil into the air. The earth cracked beneath its weight, but it wasn't alone in that chaos. Miho stood amid the carnage, eyes narrowed, twin salamanders circling her like serpents sensing blood. Her breath came slow and steady, even as heat and noise tore around her. She remained unfazed. Her gaze darted sharply, catching Lee Min-sung standing far off in the distance. He wasn't moving, wasn't helping, wasn't fighting. A spark of irritation flared behind her crimson eyes. Lee Min-sung isn't joining the battle, huh? She thought coldly. For an A rank, his absence cut deeper than any enemy blade. A pity, indeed. What was the point of such power if one chose cowardice? Does he think being a hunter is a joke? Her thoughts were interrupted by the monstrous roar of a charging beast, fangs bared and breath steaming with bloodlust. It lunged toward her with terrifying speed. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.